What is up, everybody? You are listening to Living Beyond the Dream podcast, a podcast where we have practical conversations to take the dreams you have for your organization and yourself and turn it into reality. My name is Mike, joined always by my man Tyler. We are in episode 48 of the podcast, 48 deep, 48 strong, 48 weeks nonstop, and we have been just joined by you guys every week, blessing us, man, more and more every week. Keep coming on, loving it. We're honored that we get to spend that time with you. If you could do me one favor, though, this would be a big one for me. If you could, make sure you subscribe if you haven't, but also rate and review. If you're listening to it on any of your platforms, whether that's iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, whatever you're listening to, make sure you rate and review it. That really helps us get that reach out because we're just trying to help as many people as possible. And also share it because, man, we love the fact that you're sharing it and getting the word out. Really does bless us. That's all we're asking. Love you guys. All right, let's break in. Here we go. Two-part series. We started part one last week. Let's dive into part two.
Last week was so powerful. This whole thing is on how to steward your staff.
There we go.
And so last week we talked about leading open-handedly, super powerful. Today we're wrapping it up with how to retain staff. How to take care of, and really, just like the title is, stewarding your staff. So to dive in, the definition of steward is to look after. And so why, Mike, is it important that we look after our staff?
Well, that's definitely the placement God has entrusted you with. And your staff are your responsibility as the leader. And what you do with the seed determines the type of harvest you experience. If you waste it, if you scoundrel it, if you don't take care of it, if you don't cultivate it and you don't think it's precious, it's not going to grow. But guess what? The thing about seed that's different with your people is they're going to get up and go to another garden that's going to take care of it. They're going to go to another farmer that will. And so we need to understand we've been entrusted. It is a responsibility. It's an honor as the leader that we have people. And when you don't look at it that way, you're going to take people for granted. You're going to think everybody's there to serve you because you're the all high and mighty dictator. And you don't realize you're not called that way. We're called to live like Jesus said, right? If you want to be a leader, you got to be a servant, right? The first will be last will be first. And the way we serve as leaders is by always stewarding those relationships, caring about them, wanting them to thrive, wanting the best for them, really truly allowing yourself to stay up at night realizing that the number one motivation that you should have is the health of your people. If your people aren't healthy, you failed. I don't care how big your organization is. I don't care how much money it's bringing in. I don't care because those things will not be sustainable if your people aren't healthy. If your people are not healthy, you have failed. Now, it's not saying people won't go through problems or trials. I'm talking about the culture, the environment, the people. If it's not healthy, I'm going to say it again, you have failed. Because you have to be able to steward and honor those things with the best intentions at heart.
Yeah, that's so good. And to your point in that, with people not going through problems and trials, I mean, that's exactly what we covered last week with leading open-handedly. The staff members that you have, though, they're kind of a different breed. You know, like these are people that have dedicated their vocation to the vision that God has given you or the senior pastor for the church.
Yeah. So, like, how do you continue to feed them the vision, kind of like the trickle-down effect? Like, God gives it to you, you give it to them, so that there's no loss of, like, motivation.
Well, the important thing is to understand that everybody wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a part of an organization they're proud about.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to feel like they're making a difference and what they do matters and there's purpose behind what they do.
Yeah.
Because it's a really sad reality that is actually a fantasy in this world. And the reality is that most people think money is what the motivation is. And so they think if we make a lot of money, we'll be happy. That's not really true.
Yeah.
Money is a very great temporary motivator.
Yeah.
It's a great upfront, get you excited.
Yeah.
But that's not what carries you. That's not what makes you feel. What makes you feel like, man, I'm living life and I'm fulfilled is when you feel like you have a purpose bigger than yourself. When you feel like you're a part of something that matters. When you feel like you're doing something and man, you feel that there is a vision that's going somewhere you're not.
Yeah.
And so when you understand that as a leader, you cultivate that.
Yeah.
You care about that.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you are dropping vision in laps and letting people know where we want to go and where we're thinking and dreaming bigger and letting them dream within those constraints of realizing, hey, we all have a big vision together and letting them dream. Because what happens is excitement and passion is contagious.
Yeah.
And people start getting passionate about it when you're passionate about it, and that starts spreading within the organization, and it builds something within people. And here's what we have to learn is that when we go through the rocky moments, we've got to have a vision that where we're going or we won't be resilient.
Yeah.
Because if you're just aimlessly wandering, sooner or later, you're just going to go back home.
Yeah.
You just be like, man, it's getting too tired. But if you know I'm on a journey and I'm going to this location, you're going to keep going.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be like, I'm on the way there. I'm already halfway there or I'm quarter way there. But if you're just wandering, just to do your organization day in and day out, guess what? People are finally going to go, you know what? I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm going back.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere else because there's no destination. So with that as a leader, what we have to start doing is spending a enormous amount of time about dreaming about the future.
Yeah.
What a lot of leaders don't do is they don't empower enough, so then they're caught in the mud of day-to-day tasks that could be done by another leader, which would probably do it better than you, but we micromanage too much.
Yeah.
And then that does not carve out enough time for us to dream about the future.
So good.
Because here's what a lot of us leaders do, and this is our biggest problem, this is my problem. I'm a very motivated person. Mm-hmm. I love accomplishing things.
Yeah.
I'm a type 3 man, as strong as can be.
Yeah.
The problem is sometimes I'll tell myself I'm lazy if I'm not doing all the day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
What I don't realize is that because I make that excuse of me being lazy and then I find myself getting in the weeds of areas I don't need to be in the weeds in and not carving out time about dreaming, what happens is I'm not building sustainability into our organization.
Yeah.
When I can get into quiet time, because you can't dream in a loud environment.
Yeah.
You can't dream in an environment where you're distracted. You have to dream in areas where you can reflect.
Wow.
When I find myself carving out those times every week, I don't do this every once in a while, I carve it every week.
Yeah.
When I find myself doing that, I'm able to think bigger, dream bigger, which allows me to craft a dream and a vision that when I go to staff and I start dropping in the ears of our key influencers in our church and our organization, what happens is now they say, I want to follow that guy.
Yeah.
Because see where we're going?
Yeah.
See where we're headed?
Yeah.
They don't say that about the guy that's there that's just doing the mundane things day in and day out.
Yeah.
That doesn't have a vision. They like that guy.
Yeah.
They're friends with that guy. They care about the guy that's there, that's in the everyday task. But they're not visionaries that they want to follow. And there's a difference.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we don't do day-to-day tasks. I do a lot of day-to-day tasks. I'm saying we spend too much of our time filling our schedule with that and not enough time being a visionary, so we can't let anybody follow us.
Wow.
You got to learn the art of balance in those areas. And so I'm not saying I'm always dreaming, but I'm also not always just working. I create that carved out time to do both.
That's so good because it just like you were saying, it builds drive, it builds passion. That is absolutely incredible. How would you say that you feed them on a compensation level? And this is a tricky one, right? Because like you don't get into ministry. It's just like you were talking about with numbers. Like you don't get into ministry to get rich.
Yeah.
But,
well, and this is where it says people still need to not be impoverished. Okay,
right.
You can't do money only. You have to have vision. So that's why we want to start with vision because people want to know. They want to be in your organization for the right reasons and go in the right places.
Yeah.
But we don't want to let people be impoverished, okay? Yeah. And so ministry, not all ministry pays well. Yeah. Get it, right? We are 100% funded by donations.
Yep.
That's like it or not, that's just the reality of it that we live in. And so you got to learn the art of understanding those balances. Now, it's a little bit different when you become established as an organization than when you're a church plant. And we're starting to find that rhythm now as we are 6 years in. It feels good to really start finally having stability where before, man, I remember back in the day when I'd look at our tithe every week and I'd be like, right? So I remember those early days, right? So when everybody in your church is saved, so they don't even understand what tithing is, right? So it's a great win to see that. But here's what you got to learn to do. You got to learn to pay people competitively.
Yep.
Which means, I had a board member, we call them trustees, say to me one time, he goes, why are we paying them that way? Are we scared they're going to leave and go somewhere else? And I go, well, it's two reasons. One, yeah, I don't want them going somewhere else.
Yeah.
But that's not my motivation. It's because I want to honor my people.
Yeah.
They're the best staff in the world. So why would I not want to pay them what the church the same size of us with the same budget as us down the streets paying their staff, right?
Yep.
It's different if it's a mega church that's making a lot more money than us. I mean, it's just apples and oranges. But when we look at the national averages, is what we try to do. When we try to hit around that average rate and a little bit more, we're trying to look at that kind of thing. It's because we want to say, I honor you that much.
Yeah.
I realize you are the greatest staff member in that position.
Yeah.
You could get a job at any church in America. But I don't want you in any church in America. I want you with us, unless God calls you. So I want to honor you that. So we want to make sure we're competitive with that.
Yeah.
But, and this is what we're really focusing on, and this is what we've been spending the last 6 to 8 months focusing solely on, is not just what people get paid on a paycheck. What are the benefits attached to this?
Yeah.
And that's where we really want to strive and work towards. And we've been working at it really hard the last 8 months.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a confirmation, but I was sitting in a table with a really predominant pastor of the large church, one of the large churches in America, if not the largest church in America, a month ago. Yeah. And he dropped this statement. He goes, we pay our staff competitive. That's great. He goes, but benefits are the most important thing.
Wow. And
I go, well, that's good confirmation. He goes, because you can give someone a $1,000 raise and they love it for a second, but then all of a sudden their lifestyle literally raises to that raise.
Yeah.
And then it becomes their new norm.
Yep.
And then they forget about that raise.
Yeah.
But you have great benefits with great retirement packages. Guess what? They're going to realize this is an organization I can be here long term. Because he goes, I have staff members that if they start putting in the max amount of their retirement in their 20s, they'll retire millionaires.
Wow.
He goes, because we have the best benefits in the world.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a confirmation to me. We're not, of course, at that level yet.
Right.
But we've been working on that for the last 6 to 8 months, like really focusing on, are our benefit packages where they need to be? What do we need to work on? What do we need? So you need to look at it that way.
Yep.
Don't compare yourself to a church bigger than you that brings in more money than you. So do it based on what your size is in your churches, but make sure you're competitive with those wages.
Yeah.
And so understand that. And listen to me, pastors, that means you too.
Yeah.
Right? Don't think you're worth more than all your staff.
Yeah.
I'm not saying pay yourself impoverished, but look at the national average based on your church and your size and the pay scale, and then base yourself around that.
Yeah.
Just the same way you're going to do with the rest of your staff, right? Because I have found sometimes we find as the lead pastors, we get paid like a church that's 2 to 3 times bigger than us.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why we can't pay our staff to keep our staff. Well, there's a reason why that. Okay, so you got to be integrous with that. Also, I've got it to the point where I'm not allowed to set my own salary.
Yeah,
our trustees do it for me.
Yeah,
and so I can't even suggest what my salary should be.
Yeah,
they go through and do reports and they deal with it. So I don't deal with it. So I make sure to pick trustees that like me. But still, that's another side of the story. But okay. But that's the way we need to work on the financial side of it and the benefits of it.
That's so good, and that honestly goes into the next question here. How do you feed them on an honor level? And I think that's taking compensation to an honor level.
Yeah.
Maybe we can't pay you this, but making sure that your family is taken care of with this incredible benefits package is a way to honor. But what other ways can you honor and feed them honor so that they
there's
retain?
Lots of ways to feed honor, build honor. Of course, the benefits is it.
Yeah.
But it's also all the moments you get with people.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather be a church that's always known for honor over a church that is a penny pincher.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to go to heaven with a bank account.
Yep.
I'm going to go to heaven with dynamic disciples of Jesus that populate a multiplied heaven.
Yeah.
Or multiplied heaven based on the works of this world. Yeah. So I want to make sure I honor steward that. And so we care about those things.
Yeah.
All the way from the benefits package and the way we pay our staff to the fact that we rent houses for staff to be able to go on vacation so they can afford it better, right? We do retreats and we honor them. We're trying to always make sure we have moments throughout the year where we're blessing them with things. Back to school, we try to give a small bonus to back to school because I know kids have school supplies they got to buy, and that's a big budget. Christmas bonus, all those things we're trying to think about on the financial side. Yeah. But then on the emotional side, the way we honor people is a couple things. Number one is we're always there for them.
Yeah.
We never let them go too long without them knowing we're checking in.
Yeah.
We honor them by always making sure we're in their corner for them. What can we do for you? How can we help you? We make sure, like our campus pastors are always having scheduled meetings with each department to make sure that's happening.
Yep.
We also want to make sure that they're being affirmed.
Yeah.
There's those moments where you need to call out wins on a regular basis, celebrate the things that need to be celebrated, champion them. When you see them improving, let them know you see them improving, because there are times when you're going to have to address things that they're weak in, but when you see work in that area, celebrate that.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to do. I love to be able to sit back and go, hey, you look great here, man.
Yeah.
I remember we talked about this.
Yeah.
Now look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed by you. You're knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
Setting up those moments and then letting them know that's their baby.
Yeah.
And letting them have the empowerment to know that department's your department. You're doing it better than I can. And giving them the authority, because honor also has authority attached to it. Because when they're running that department, they realize, hey, I don't have, when my staff's running the departments, they're not running to me.
Yeah.
All their dream team volunteer members are not running to me. They're not running to our campus pastor. They're running to their department head, because their department has the authority and they know it. And there's never been a question where we come in and overstep in front of anybody. We never, ever demean them or correct them in front of any of their team members.
Yeah.
Never any of those things, because we want them to be honored and have that authority. So we're working on those areas. So when we do or have to correct or address things, there's never this insecurity they have with us.
Yeah.
That's really why a lot of people have a hard time with empowerment or with feedback. It's because there's this insecurity. You're always micromanaging. You're always you're always hovering. And so what happens is now they start disrespecting, or they start doing things that's away from the vision. But when you've empowered so much, when I give correction or feedback, there's never a question of insecurity, because they already know I'm always empowered by that person. Yeah. They always honor. They're never disrespecting me in front of people.
Yeah.
They never correct me. Like they always have my back. So then, whenever I do, it's received easier and better, and they take my feedback.
Yeah.
So you need to learn the art of all these emotional things with honor. Honor has so much importance in an organization.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. Would you say that those are the 3 ingredients to stewarding your staff? It's feeding them vision, feeding them compensation, and then honor with that? Or would you add anything?
I would add a couple things to that. I think those are very important key mark things.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things I would definitely add that I think is important to steward this. The first thing I would say that you need to add is you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to steward your staff is to make sure that you're growing at a pace faster than them.
Yeah.
Because you need to show them and model them the type of growth you want in them.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to have the material to feed them.
Yeah.
Because I can't feed you something I don't have in my cupboard.
That's really good.
And a lot of leaders, they let their talent be what they try to feed people in. That's not sustainable. Talent is like sugar. It is great. Everybody loves dessert.
Yeah.
You're not sustained off dessert.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Grit, discipline, hard work, that's your staples in your food pyramid. You need that stuff. And so I've got to show and give my staff the growth and inspire them with that. That's why that cliche statement, leaders are readers, is really true.
Yeah.
Because I don't care if you don't like to read. I don't care any of the excuses. Listen to me. If you're not reading, you're not growing, because you're not obtaining enough knowledge.
Yeah.
And so I don't obtain 100% of what I read,
Right.
but I obtain a good percentage of it.
Yeah.
And when I'm reading so many books, I'm reading more books than I've ever read in my life. And when I'm reading that much, I'm getting able to drop things. I'm getting inspiration. I'm able to pour into people. I'm able to show something.
Yeah.
People are saying, now I'm inspiring something, and I'm able to give something I have. So that's important.
So good.
Secondly, culture always matters, and you've got to speak culture through your values and behaviors on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So one thing is, don't hire anyone that's not aligned with the behaviors of your organization.
So good.
Which means you should have 3 to 5 behavioral traits that not are something you aspire to, something that you are.
Yes.
And so you need to look at that and figure out what that is. And you know, you look at it and you kind of look at it from this point of view. But when you're looking at The Advantage, that's the book. I was trying to think of it. What he says is that you need to learn to figure out, Lencioni says that you need to figure out what those traits are, those behavior traits, and they're not aspirationals of what you are. So what you need to figure out is, a good way to do that is look at one of your star staff members.
Yeah.
Right? Like, who is it? And say, why do you love them?
Yeah.
Why are they so awesome at what they do?
Yeah.
Because those are kind of that trait. And then they also said, as somebody that's new. Like, do you think we are these traits?
Yeah.
because they're going to be like, yeah or no.
Yeah.
Because one of them may be aspirational. So figure out those behavioral traits, hire based on those, but also reinforce them on a regular basis. This is who we are. We talk about them on a regular basis. And then you have your aspirational team values, your aspirational traits. And I say never go over 10 of these. We actually have 9. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we talk about them one a week, and we kind of speak about those. And so make sure you're aligning those values, because what happens is the repetition breeds into consistency. When you're consistent and you're repeating something, what happens is it starts sticking more, right? Think about your sermon you preached a week or 2 weeks ago, or a sermon you listened to a week or 2 weeks ago. You probably don't remember much of it.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I preached 2 weeks ago, really. Like, I have to go back and go, I might know the topic, but what did I say exactly?
Yeah.
Because you got so much information coming in. We're hit with information. But when you hit something repetitively over and over and over and over again, those values start sticking.
Yeah.
And when we are united in our behaviors and our values, we become more like a family.
Yeah.
And when you become a family, you stay with family, man, that's healthy. You stay with family that you care about. Stay with family that you love. And that creates a lot of that retention there in those areas.
Yeah.
So those are kind of like the 5, I guess, ingredients that I think you need to be able to retain your staff.
So good. So good. And we'll close on that.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed today. A little bit longer of an episode, but I hope you stuck around the whole time. And if you did enjoy it, make sure you share it. If you haven't subscribed already, go right now and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring-a-ding that bell. And until next week, pray God's peace.